Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, Divinities and Dharma of Hindus. I want to welcome you all on from all over the world here. We have California, Maryland, Punjab, Houston, Orlando. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And especially for being here on a Saturday, and Miami Beach, taking time out to spend your Saturday with us. And we're here today for the webinar, Divinities and Dharmas of Hindus. My name is Shilpa Agarwal, and I'll be your host today. I'm an author, and I'm also a doctoral student and faculty at HUA. I'm honored to introduce today's speakers, Doctors Hema Hari and Doctors Hema Hari and DK Hari, who are esteemed and beloved faculty here at Hindu University of America. Doctors Hema Hari and DK Hari together started the Bharat Gyan Initiative in Civilizational Studies almost a quarter century ago. Bharat Gyan follows an interdisciplinary approach to researching India from an Indian perspective and provides an integrated Indic narrative of the Indian civilization. Together, they have created over 500 plus hours of multimedia content on the Indian civilization, co-authored over 40 books, including in multiple languages, created over 300 short films for social media. They have spoken at conferences around the world and received many accolades and awards for their prolific offerings that help us understand our rich culture and history and recover our civilizational heritage. Welcome, Doctors Hema Hari and DK Hari. It's wonderful to have you here for this exciting offering for the fall quarter at Hindu University of America, a class entitled Exploring Hinduism, Divinities and Dharma of Hindus, which starts Sunday, October 13th. With that, I'll give over the presentation to you, Dr. Hari, as you always prepare so thoughtfully and thoroughly for these webinars.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you
For introducing us so well. Very kind of you. And as I said, we have a few slides as part of our deck to share with all our friends and colleagues from different parts of the world, which we'll be glad to do. The topic itself, divinity and dharma. Look at that. One aspect of the word of divinity, the English word divinity comes from the Indian word div. The English word divine again has roots in the word, our Indian Bharata Sanskrit word div, meanings to glow, to shine. Look at the word. And the Greek word diva, for fashion diva, what you see, that also comes from the same. So look at this. So world over, the concept to glow, everybody wants to glow, and obviously divinities have a glow to it. That's why you show a halo around the divinity's head. That's one side. The other word is the idea of dharma. The dharma is the guna, the character, what each one is, what each one bears. That's why if you look at our earth, we call it dharti, because it bears us. Ma, the Bhuma Devi, the earth bears us. That's why we call it dharti. So, dharan, dharani. Look at all these words. All this because bear. So, all the divinities bear certain qualities. Collectively, when each one of us behave in synchronization with our character, our qualities, our nature, then we are in line with dharma. See, dharma is not to be limitedly understood as being good, good-natured, being speak good, do good, think good.
Righteous, virtuous.
That's all fine. But the idea of dharma is that and much, much beyond. Because the nature of each aspect in nature, Prakriti, has got a particular role to play. For example, as Dr. Hema quite often says, the role of the sun is to give light. Along with it, heat. Sometimes heat could be very scorching too. But that's important. That scorching heat is important because that's the role of that to play. If you have a lion or a tiger, its job is to keep the forest, the vana, in a hygienic condition. So each has a role to play. Collectively, all the divinities in Prakriti nature have their own dharmas. And cumulatively, all that becomes the dharma of the whole earth, the solar system, the galaxy Mandakini, and the universe Brahmanda, which is what we also call as Rita. The term Rita also comes to denote seasons, Ritu, which comes about cyclically one after another, unendingly. What is the term we use for that in the English language? Is rhythm. Look at the English word rhythm, comes from the Indian word ritu, rita, that which comes about cyclically. So everything, the concept of divinities are continuous, innate, ingrained in nature, Prakriti, and all of them have a role to play, which is dharma, and they carry out their roles. The humans also have certain roles to play. So you have dharmic or non-dharmic, adharmic as you say, that's one. And all this is in synchronization with nature, Prakriti. That's the beauty of it. So you have one side divinity, one side dharma, one side rita. And all these things have to merge and intertwine beautifully. That's very important. Only then there is harmony. When you look at Japan, okay, when you look at Japan, when they formed the constitution of Japan a few centuries ago, what did they bring in? They brought in a very important concept of harmony in their constitution. because they wanted to live in synchronization, harmoniousness. So that idea is again very, very Bharata as a civilization goes, as we can see, because the term Bharata itself means what? Knowledge. Is itself knowledge. So we'll see some slides that are in alignment with this thought as we go along. Please, show the slides. We'll just show you some slides to start off with. We'll just share the screen, please.
See, one more country.
Thanks, okay. Okay. So, let's start.
Nature scientific divinities.
This is complicated.
Okay. So, just to augment that bit about the Div and the Dev, divinity and the divine, the Indian word for that Bharata word is Deva as well. And if you look at this word, this is where, you see a beautiful picture emerging. The word Div also means to play. Look at it. The words, the meanings that the word Div conveys is outward, to glow, to shine, to be bright, to play. To play meaning to let yourself loose and go out and play. So that aspect, to emanate itself. So from there, you get the idea that the Deva, as Hari just mentioned, we have different characters, characteristic, the aspects for every being, whether living or non-living in this entire existence.
Animate or inanimate.
And the entire universe itself, cosmos itself has a Dharma. And therefore, the interplay between that. So all these Div, the divine, everything is divine, and there is an interplay between that. So that is very key. And you will see how it is this interplay that has been represented allegorically and beautifully as some of our Puranic stories. And so when we have a pantheon of divinities, that's because we are expressing what is in nature. And at the same time, for each of them, we have also evolved allegoric stories to denote the interplay between them, because none of them can stand in isolation. It is the interplay between all of them that creates the cosmos that we have as it is today. So,
Not sure. So, as you said, nature itself is a scientific divinity. That's what we need to understand when we talk about divinities and Dharma. In this, if you look at the scientific divinities, all aspects of nature, Prakriti, be it the earthlings, the earth, the different layers of the atmosphere, each of this is divine. Then the moon beyond the atmosphere, all the planets, the sun, the stars beyond, all the way going to back to the cosmic egg, the Big Bang, the Hiranyagarbha, what we call Brahmanda Visvartak, all of them are divine is what we should recognize and realize. That's important, because the Vedas were created from nature. They are created by nature. They are created for nature, for us to relish nature, for us to understand nature, for us to appreciate nature. So when the rishis have, in their times, millennia ago, composed the Veda and later compiled by Maharishi Vedavyasa about 5 millennia ago. Prior to the Vedas were composed many millennia before that. What did they do? They asked questions of nature, Prakriti, and the knowledge that they got, they condensed it and reduced it in the form of Sanhita. That's what we call Rich, Richa, Rik, Rigveda, and all the other Veda. The Vid, Veda, knowledge, and what in English we call wit and wisdom. That's what it comes from to us. So all this, if you see, through the ages, these actually different functional aspects of nature is what it is. All the Veda, as we said, right from the moment of Big Bang, where you have the Indra, Vritra, thereon to the thunderbolt that's in the sky, not just in our atmosphere, everywhere. Then see, look at this. So how many Veda Samhita, or for each of these divinities of nature, Soma, Agni, Indra, Aswini, Surya, Maruts, Usas, for each of them, so many Richa, Rik have been dedicated for them, for Varuna, for Brihaspati, the numbers we already mentioned there, for Savitr, Pusan. So look at all of that deals with different aspects of divinity, which is intrinsically part of nature. That's the beauty of it. And then we come down to the idea of Vishnu, and thereon Apaha, the waters. This there means Vishnu, there means that what permeates. Parjanya, the rains that we get. While Apaha is the cosmic waters, Parjanya is the rains that we get on the earthly rains. So there are two differences there. And the idea of Rudra, Mitra, and all of them. If you look at all this, so we speak about the 33 Koti Devata. Quite often we mistake it to mean Koti here, meaning crores. No, Koti means the numbers. So when you ask this question, then all these, because the idea Koti also means crores, in English we loosely refer to as 33 crore devatas. The point is, where are they? Where are they prevalent? How do they prevail? But if you see now, they are there. So it is not just crores. So the English question you ask, where on earth are they? Of course, they are on earth, but they're beyond earth too, is the point. Because there are numerous of them, and they are not limited to the number, the numeral crore, but they're also the idea of koti, meaning they're all the varieties. Koti also means the range, the varieties, all of that. So all of them collectively put together is what the divinities are. And they're all over nature, Prakriti, beautifully everywhere. And all this is represented to us in the form of Narayana, thereon to Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, thereon to Indra. Because the term Indra, again, what does it mean? The Indriya, our senses, our sensory perception. Because without sense, we cannot sense Vishnu, we cannot sense Brahma, we cannot sense Shiva, nor can we sense Narayana, because we need that Indra to sense it. Then we have both Indra, then you have the complementary component and the one that is opposite, that is Asura. The term Asura is again not a bad term. Sura, Asura. Asura means the one who is very strong, very spirited, very capable. Like that, you got Agni, Surya, Chandra, Vayu, was all of them cumulatively and collectively so beautifully represent each aspect of nature. So they are one, they are obviously Hindu divinities. They are divinities of Sanatana Dharma, but at the same time, they are concepts too of nature Prakriti, where they are not to be limitedly understood or limitedly classified as aspects of Hindu gods alone. Because people normally try to limit it. No, these are, so irrespective of which part of the world you are, which belief or faith system you belong to, these are aspects that you have to live with. You cannot live without a moon. Moon is part of the idea of Chandra. You cannot live without a sun, irrespective of what your thought process is. So similarly, you cannot live with fire. Where is the fire? When it's outside to heat your food, then there's also fire in your stomach to digest the food. Without that, and if you don't have fire in a job, you'll be fired. If you don't have fire to execute in your job, you'll be fired out of the job with enthusiasm. So you need a sense of fire everywhere. The waters in your body, because 70% of your body is made up of water. That is what Apaha is all about. If you see here, idea of Apaha is all about waters. So different aspects of it. So each of this collectively make up our divinities. Having said this, so each, if you look at all of the links are there, which we look at as we do the course on the 10 sessions that we have, we look at each one of these going forward. Okay, then you have a concept called Ashta Dik Pala. Dik means, look at the word, the word Dik comes to us with the English word direction. Pala, one who takes care of, one who represents it. Ashta, the 8. Look at the word Ashta in English becomes octa. Octagonal, octa. Look at that. It's an Indian term, Ashta, that comes to us octa in Greek. And you have specific personages who represent each of these directions for us. And there's a There's a sense of science to it. There's a sense of meaning. There's a sense of understanding. And what is science after all? Science is when you have jnana, that's knowledge. When you go into specific knowledge, deep knowledge, incisive knowledge, you dissect a knowledge, you trisect a knowledge, you bisect a knowledge, and what do? You go into the V of it, V-I-V. So you get to Vigyan. So on one level you have Gyan, another level you have Vigyan. So what is today loosely and even limitedly said, Gyan is knowledge, Vigyan is science. No. Out of knowledge only you go trisect, bisect, dissect, you go dwell deep, you get to Vigyan. So for science, the same thing. You go deeper and deeper into something. So, and the art of questioning comes in science also. Of course, Gyan also has questioning. That is how you understood all aspects. But the beauty is, if you look at the Indian divinity system, this is a statement made by a person by name Al-Baruni, who came to India about 1,000 years ago, along with Muhammad of Ghazni, who came to plunder this contemporary person.
So he says that the Hindus can never speak of anything, be it an object of the intellect or of imagination, without representing it as a personification and individual. They at once marry him, make him celebrate marriage, make his wife become pregnant, and give birth to something. So this is what we said in the earlier at the start about the play and the interplay between all these deva. So these deva are represented as they're personified, they are given a character because they naturally have that innately with them because that is their dharma as well. So the different characteristics, aspects in the universe have been represented as the deva, the divine, and the interplay between them is shown through all these beautiful stories.
So when you have our Puranic legends, which bring out all these aspects, all these divinities in different humanly forms too, we are sometimes little even exasperated by it. But look at this person 1,000 years back who comes from Persia, and he writes in the Persian language, he says, he observes this and says, they are talking about nature, Prakriti, they're talking about objects of intellect. And they are personifying it because for better understanding. And what do? They bring when two aspects of nature interact, as in chemistry, when two molecules interact, two atoms interact, what do? They give birth to something. They get something. So that way they do this. So look at this. We have used the understanding of nature to create a family of nature. And that what the Prakriti gives forth. These are all the idea of divinity. So we knew it. It was not that we gave it as Puranic legends, mumbo jumbo. It was not grandma's tales, is what we are trying to do. So it is all known. The interplay, as Hema said already more than a couple of times, it is understood. And what the interplay puts forth also was understood. And we give it a sense of understanding because only if you give a story does it cross generations. It needs to transcend generations because the knowledge in it is so deep, is so profound. If you give it as a scientific formula, it will be lost within a generation or two. But if you give it a storification to it, what happens? It crosses generations. And those who need to dwell in it and take out the rasa, the essence of the knowledge, at whichever level each one wants, they can do. That is the concept of divinities and the dharma in it. So see how both the terms, divinity and dharma, intertwine to understand. You can't have one without the other. When you have divinities, you have their dharma too. When you have dharma, that idea of divinities step in. So it is not two distinct aspects, but as she said, the interplay and the intertwining of these two, that is what's very important to understand about dharma. Now, having said all these things, we'll go on to one particular aspect. This coming week, we all know is Ganesh Chaturthi. We all celebrate the birthday of Ganesha, the happy, prancing, what some people call elephant god, elephant-head god. But look at the term Gana Isha. Isha is obviously, as we said, Isha, that's the northeast, right? So we have the idea of Ganesha, Gana. So let's try to understand Ganesha because we're going to be celebrating this particular divinity's birthday in the coming week. So you need a holistic appreciation, understanding of the idea of Ganesha. Gana means
So this is a compound word where you have Gana and Isha as a master and as a attribute. So it's the aspect of this particular attribute, which is Gana, that represents multitude. It represents hordes. Actually, the word Gana means hordes. And hordes means multitude, where there is numerousness. So numbers, a lot, and especially with people.
And when you have numbers, you also got weight. So that Gana is also weight. Heavy, you call it Gana. And what do you call the numbers? Numerals, you call it Ganitam, mathematics, because it deals with numerals.
So
Innumerable.
Ganitam, Gana, look at the connect between them, because to count the numbers and the Gana aspect of numerousness, only when you have many can you actually count.
And the hordes of Shiva, who is the Lord? Gana Isha, Ganapati. So the idea of one who is the master of numbers. So that is what. So
He is the leader for the hordes.
and that Gana obviously leads to intellect, because when you have numbers, you must have the intellect to discern numbers. So that's why you got, and when you have the intellect, what can you do? You can overcome obstacles. Without intellect, you cannot understand the problem, nor can you overcome obstacles. So that is why you have the idea of Vignesha, the one who helps you overcome obstacles. How is it possible? If you don't understand the problem at hand. So for understanding the problem at hand, you need to have the idea of Ganesha. So that's why it's, the idea comes up. So we all celebrate because every year, what do? He belongs to Ma Parvati. That is Prithvi, earth. You get her from earth, Prithvi, and send her back to the mother. So that is why you have in clay. Now, unfortunately, people do it in other material which is not immersible. So it creates other pollution issues. So, but the point is, when you get it from Ma Parvati, celebrate the concept of Gana, Isha, Ganapati, and send it back to Ma Parvati, then it should be soluble. That's very important to have solubility to this. So this is again one other subject that we'll be dealing with in depth when we do different aspects of Ganesha, as what he represents, the idea of Vak, how he is in Mahabharata, we show him very clearly as the idea of one who takes in the, while he is a scribe. What is he? Of the knowledge. Now the question I'm asking you all, you know the different languages. The language of English is today written in what? The Roman script. Most of the language of English, Spanish, Italian, French, German, all these Portuguese, all this is Russian, all this is what written in the Roman script. What is the language of Sanskrit, Hindi, and a couple of other languages written in the India? Is it in a particular Devanagari script, which is about 1,000 years old, or probably a little more than a millennia old. The other scripts also being written. All the scripts can also be written in the diacritics. That's another way of writing it. Now, if Ganesha, not if, Ganesha is the scribe for writing the Jaya, the original text, the earlier name of the seed name of Mahabharata, then what is the script he wrote it in? Do we know? It's a question to ponder. I would leave it as a question to ponder, which we'll discuss in the course, because the idea of script goes back 5 millennia for us very clearly. That's the point. So to say that the Indian civilization only at oral is not wholly right. We had scripts too, and going back 5 millennia. So we had the oral tradition, for which the Veda was oral tradition, whereas the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purana, Upanishad, all of them were also in the written tradition. We had both. We had an oral tradition, we had written tradition. The way
in
we have
parallel, because look at this. The same Veda Vyasa who helped recompile the Veda, who actually got a lot of Rishi together, and together they recompiled the Veda and put it in a format that it can be transmitted orally without errors. It is a method called Vikriti. We have just been doing that in the current quarter, where we are looking at the geography and history of the Bharat civilization. So the Veda are one of the sources of the history of the civilization. The Veda and its composition and compilation also tell us about the historicity of the civilization. How far back does it go? So this Veda actually is transmitted orally, and there were techniques, and these were developed by Maharishi Vedavyasa and team. At the same time, during the same period, you have the same Vedavyasa also authoring the Mahabharata in the form of Jaya. When he authored it, he called it Jaya. And that is where you have the aspect of Ganesha coming in as a scribe.
Contemporary. So you have an oral tradition for Veda. Parallelly, for the tradition of the Mahabharata, you have a scribe tradition, written tradition. Both we have. So this land, that where we'll be discussing both divinities and Dharma in the upcoming quarter, starting mid-October, we'll be discussing both.
And it is very interesting to note that you have, while Maharishi Vedavyasa had authored Jaya by writing it, you have the Ramayana, which was authored, penned even earlier by
Millennia back.
Maharishi Valmiki, and that is also a written work. So while Veda were recompiled, the Ramayana dates even prior to that as a written work. So the historicity of writing can be traced way back. And there are interesting aspects within the Ramayana itself which show you that it was a written work too. And writing was popular.
So contemporaneousness is what we wanted to say. Like that, there are many aspects of Ganesha, because we want to show you this bit for a few minutes, because this coming week we're celebrating the idea of Ganesh Chaturthi, and we have Ganesha representing knowledge world over. So we got this idea. So look at this. He represents Jnana. He represents Vak. He represents Ghana, weight, Ganitam, from his mother Prithvi. And what is it? They are zoomorphic, because they have both components. They are psychomorphic. They deal with agriculture, with symbolism, with prancing, playfulness. So all these aspects is intertwined in our one Ganesha. So when we celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi, this coming week, we should know all these concepts to celebrate. Incidentally, our film is there for you all to watch on Ganesha. Please watch it in the Bharat Gyan YouTube channel. And all these cumulatively add up this to the idea of intellect, Ganitam, Ghana. Because if you have in Hinduism, what we call today loosely is made up of 6 religions. And one of the 6 religions is called Ganapatyam. We have that here very clearly, because they represent the idea of where is this Ganesha? Ganapati, where is it? So he represents all 3: Adi Devika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika, and all 3 aspects. I'll just show you how Ganesha represents all 6 religions.
So actually, if you look at it, there are 6 religions. One is Vaishnavam, Shaivam, Shaktam, and then you have Ganapatyam, based on the aspect of Ganesha as a divinity, where the focus is on the intellect, the idea of memory, intellect, wisdom. And then you also have Sauram, which is based on sun as a divinity, and then Kaumaram, which is based on Kumara or Skanda as a divinity. So these are fundamentally the 6 divinities that have led to having formalized religion, nature of a religion associated with them.
With what we call today Hinduism, because this all
and
comes
these
out
got clubbed as Hinduism. As
by
one
the British. That's it. Now we'll show you some of the aspects of this course.
But before going to that, I also want to show you about, tell you about the Ganesha aspect. It's very interesting because today we are used to celebrating Ganesha as a Sarvajanik festival. Sarvajanik meaning it's a festival that you also celebrate publicly. So everybody celebrates as a Ganesh Puja at home. And you also have public pujas of Ganesha, which is called a Sarvajanik Mahotsav, where many people get together and celebrate this. And this was very interestingly popularized by Sri Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. And this was during the freedom struggle.
100 years back in Pune, he started this concept of celebrating Ganesha as a Sarvajanic festival, about
Because
which we
he
made.
wanted to bring people together. He wanted to create a platform. See, when the freedom struggle was on, and they needed ways in which people can congregate together, during which they can be brought to one idea, one thought, messages can be shared amongst them. So for this, they brought in the Sarvajanic aspect. And why did they choose Ganesha? Why did he choose Ganesha? He had so many divinities to choose. Because Ganesha, Gana, meaning people himself. He's a leader of people. He is a master of intellect, master of mind.
And he also removes the obstacles, because at that time the colonial rule was an obstacle. So you use a remover obstacles to do it. Actually, we have made a couple of banners on it. It's available for you all to see in our website. You can show it if you want.
We'll show it to you.
And
another interesting aspect for the word Gana is also Gana Tantra. So when we got our freedom and we became a republic. So republic is when you have your constitution and you become a full-fledged democracy where it is the people who rule. And the whole system of governance is people-driven. So what is the other name for it? Gana Tantra. So the Republic Day in India is actually called the Gana Tantra Divas, while your Independence Day is called Swatantra Divas. So that's the day you get your freedom, Swatantra.
Self-rule.
Self-rule and
Gana Tantra is people's rule.
So,
look at that.
So these are beautiful ways where you can really see the spirit of Ganesha, spread within the civilization. And I will show you where you can find these banners and also the films.
To a Bharat Gyan website. We have made films on the subject. So we'll not repeat it here. It's there for all of you to watch at your convenience. Please go to the Bharat Gyan banner.
So this is Bharat Gyan website. bharatgyan.com here. And in this, you will find that there are lots of banners, or you can even come here. This is better. So this is the banners, and you have the festivals here. So if you click on this, you can see the number of banners for various festivals, and there will be those on Ganesha, which you can also share.
See, what we speak about the idea of celebrating Ganesha with knowledge. It's important to celebrate the tattva of Ganesha with the knowledge of Ganesha. So that is what is this thing there. And how we have the idea of Ganapati Bappa Moria. Why do we call it Bappa Moria? There's a reason for it. That concept, because we need to know what we are celebrating. That concept is there on the 10th day. Then the idea of what is Ganesha? Why is he immersed in water? Because he has to get back to his mother after fill there. And mind you, Ganesha is not only in Bharat. There are over 100 temples for Ganesha, Kangiten in Japan over 120 years ago. Not in the present wave of modernization. In the pre-modernization wave, in the pre-World War I period, there were 100 Ganesha temples in Japan alone. Look at how it spread the world over, about which we have written an article and made a film. Look at this. You have Ganeshas, different parts of the world. You have one Ganesha in many lands with many names. In Japan, it's called Kangiten. In Greek, it's called Janus. In Honduras, it's called Kopan. It's called Uxmal in Mayan. Then you have him in Afghanistan, Thailand, Cambodia, Tibet, everywhere. So the idea, Ganesha is really spread all over the world. The divinity of Ganesha, you can see spread all over the world so beautifully. And you have the idea of Gauri Ganesha to specifically celebrated in Karnataka. So beautifully with his mother.
This interestingly coincides with the Tej festival of the North. So while North India celebrates Tej, that same day is celebrated as Gauri Ganesha in the southern part of India.
Look at here. So Lokmanya Balaganga Tilak started this 1894 because he wanted to bring the people together with the fervor of the festival. This was the first he started the festival here. That's how he started here. And you know, the tallest Ganesha is not in India. It's in Thailand. The world's tallest Ganesha is there. Look at the size of this Ganesha. Huge. Actually, it is so huge. All the details are there in our book you read. So the concept of Ganesha is certainly spread all over the world. Having said this, we'll be looking at very interesting aspects like this for each of the divinities. and the wholesome aspect of Dharma as we go along this course. Instantly, we also have a book in our book section titled Hindu Dharma. Since we've been talking about Dharma, if you go to our website again,
Go to our home page.
Go to mini book section. There you'll get a book for easy read, which you can just flip through, browse through. It's available there. It's called Hindu Dharma, because we're dealing with the idea of Dharma. All our books are here for flipping through. There's a specific book and understanding called, the link called Hindu Dharma. What is Hindu Dharma? It's an easy, simple understanding for all. You can all flip and browse through the book for free. The book is available. It's a 50 plus page book. Easy flipping. What we showed you, some of the aspects already there, explained, well written, what Dharma means. So, having said all these things, let's get down to where we are structuring all this in our overall idea of the course. Of course, like how we got about Ganesha, we also got about his brother Skanda. That's also there in our
Just next to the Dharma book, you will have this. And the whole idea is we are known as a civilization that has so many gods and so many festivals too. So understanding these gods, these divinities, also gives us a good understanding about these festivals as well. And why we celebrate those festivals during that time of the year, and the way we do, and what they are actually meant to do for us. So if you look at it, this Hinduism, as we said, is much more than a religion. It is actually a kind of a continuum. And this particular aspect of the Indian civilization, there are various dimensions to it, right from the geography, from the history, and this is what we're covering right now, and then understanding the industry that this civilization was adept at. And if it had industry and it had a lot of prosperity, it got it through trade, through navigation. So how, the hows, the whys, all the questions about the various aspects of the civilization is what we cover as part of the overall course.
8-quarter course.
And the way we have structured all of this is in the form of 8 quarters, 8 courses. So exploring Hinduism, exploring Bharatam is one side of it, and understanding the contributions, therefore, this particular civilization has made to the world is the other side of it. And in the exploring part of it, we understand it from the geography and history. We understand it from the divinities and Dharma.
Which is the course we'll be taking up
in the fall quarter, which is going to start in October. And then we understand the cosmology. So divinities and Dharma gives you a peek into the various festivals connected with all these divinities. And in cosmology and calendar, you get a good grasp on why we celebrate it at that particular time of the year. How did we keep time? And all of those aspects come under the cosmology and calendar course. And from all this, we then move on to understand the richness in the society and therefore the culture. So this is the exploring Hinduism aspect and exploring Bharatam aspect. And here, the contributions, we look at it as in the realm of matter and mind. And further down, the matter gets broken down into subdivided into the big 5 that we've contributed in the terms of matter, the game changer, therefore, for the world, then the sciences and arts and living and lifestyle. So this is how the entire 8-quarter course
of the Bharata Civilization Studies course is brought forth, which is actually, you see, it's an unending 8 quarters. It's cyclical. So you can join anywhere and hop off, like how in many travel system, in London, especially other parts of the world, you have this hop on, hop off. It's designed so that we can join in any quarter and we can complete in any quarter. So that's a sequence. So each is independent. At the same time, they are all co-joined. We're giving that flexibility for all our colleagues here. That's the beauty of what we are doing in this.
And it's a course, like you would have seen, there are lots of visuals and a lot of reading material, films, and so on. So it is a course that can be taken by teens, parents, and grandparents as well together. Collectively. So they all come into a common platform of understanding. And fundamentally, it is to help scale up your soft skills, because it's to give you your confidence. One thing we have always heard many people telling us that children growing up in the West are subject to a lot of ridicule because people tell them, hey, look at this particular god, divinity of yours. He's got an elephant head, or he's depicted in such and such a manner, or this Devi is depicted.
Monkey god. What is it? What does it really mean?
Why do they have those kind of faces, and how you have represented them? So the children here especially are at a loss. They are diffident and don't know how to answer these questions, and they lose confidence in their own roots. So this particular
for example, when you look at, often people ridicule monkey god. But the point is, they translate the English term and say monkey god. But the point is, the original parent term is called Vanara. The term Vanara itself has layers of meaning. One of the meanings, Vanara, also in the present English language, has come to mean monkey. So they've just picked up that one word and call it everything monkey. So there's a larger concept, the idea of Vanara. That is what we need to understand and share back, so it can be devolved on to more people, that there's an elevated thought to it. And everything, as we said, is all zoomorphic, because animals are also divine for us. Humans also divine for us. The plants also divine. The snakes divine. Every plant, tree, forest, hill, everything is, every water, river, lake is divine for us. That is a beauty. So we have a very zoomorphic concept of divinity, because every aspect of evolution, Prakriti, is important. As I was just thinking the other day, in the sequence of this evolution of Earth, suppose man is not there, can the other beings survive on Earth? Man meaning man, woman, humans are not there. Can other beings survive on Earth? Very much yes. They can survive. But suppose in the chain of events, some of the other beings are not there. Can man survive? No. So man, humans, the Homo sapiens are dependent on other beings even for basic survival. Whereas they are not dependent on man, human, Homo sapien at all for their survival. So they are, for whoever is important for our survival is our Deva, divinity. That is why all the whole chain is important for our survival, without which we cannot survive. If the birds and bees are there, we cannot survive. If the forests are not there, we cannot survive. If the rain is not there, we cannot survive. If the rivers don't flow, we cannot survive. So that's why we treat each one as Div, the glowing one. That's a larger concept. So all this is available, as Hema showed you, in the course material. So certainly welcome to join. If we can take the questions later. So before any more, we have covered for about 45 minutes. So any questions? One moment. Let's just finish this slide. So all this is there.
Just a second.
1 second. Just share the slide, please.
So the course actually is made of 10 online sessions, and we have it on Sundays. For US, it is in the afternoon, and for morning, and for India, it is at 8:30 in the evening.
PM IST.
PM 8:30 PM IST. And for these, if you do just the individual courses, I'm sure Shilpa will tell you a lot more. You can get a course completion certificate when you do just any one quarter.
Individual quarter.
For every quarter, actually, you can keep accumulating your course completion certificate.
Quarters.
But only when you complete all the 8 do you get a program certificate along with 12 credits. These are all credit bearing courses, but the credits will come to your credit only at the end when you complete the entire program. And in whichever order, like we said, and however long, depending on when you can do your courses. And so fundamentally, these are the different kind of sessions that we will be having. How did we come up with the thought of God and creation? And Om, then these nature science, we will delve into it a little more in detail. Then about the aspect of the Trinity, the symbolism that is there. Then when did Hinduism become a religion as such, as a formal religion? And
why
the philosophy of the Hindu thought, then Dharma. And
what is philosophy itself will deal with. What is Dharma and Karma? The important role of Veda as a fundamental of our religious thought. And what is Murti worship, which has been again very limitedly called idol worship. Only when we know all this can we celebrate the divine. Without that, the divinity celebrating is not possible. So we have to understand the wholesomeness of it. That's what we bring out in this 10 session course, which is what the 10 sessions will be about. So to understand the metaphorical language, to overcome the diffidence, as Hema said, then to relish the knowledge and share with others. This in turn will help us get self-confidence about our own identity. Then only we can dare to achieve in the modern world about our civilization knowledge. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity to share this. And we encourage and urge our participants to join the course so we can all journey together in this in the upcoming quarter.
And also bring as many youngsters as you know, so that they get to understand what is this religion, especially with connection with divinities and the aspect of Dharma and some festivals. So I think we'll leave it open for questions.
Wonderful, thank you. Every presentation and webinar you give is so full of knowledge and again, reconnecting us to our civilizational heritage. So thank you for everything you do. I wanted to just take a few questions. And one thing that struck me was how you talked about that Ganesha must be soluble. And there's this deep connection of reverence of the gods to reverence of the earth and sustainability. And so I guess my question is, how do we connect this? How do we connect this in our modern worship, this idea of sustainability and really incorporating the reverence toward nature?
See, when we look at the idea of Hinduism, it's all about nature worship. And each concept of nature, which we give it a technical term in the Indian languages, in the case of Sanskrit or Assamese or Punjabi or Tamil, or any language you call it, Bengali, whatever language you call it, and we give it that term and then we celebrate it with that term. And each of this language itself is scientific by nature. So it's a connecting back with nature because, as we said, the earth is Bhuma Devi, Parvati, Prakriti, every aspect of every hill of it. So whichever part of the world you are, you may be in Arizona, you may be in Alaska, you may be in Boston, you may be in Florida, or you may be in India, or you may be in any other part of the world. So, but every aspect is part of that earth, that component of it, and connecting with wherever you are. You don't have to be physically in the land of India or Bharat. Wherever in the earth you are connected to that part of Prakriti nature of that season of that time. Because in the English language, many people, unfortunately, a little too often use the term goddamn place. Unfortunately. So always tell them, no place is goddamn. Every place is divine. Every place is God divine, God ordained. It's a blessed place. There is no goddamn person. There is no goddamn place. Everything is divine and blessed. That's the beauty of it. So there's nobody to damn you to do something. As long as we know what our position is and live within our idea of what is our nature of ourselves. That's what we bear when we bring on to this. What bears us the mother. One could be physically the mother, the personage, that is your personal mother, or it could be Mother Earth, it's also your personal mother, because that is what bore your mother in the first place, and your grandmother and your great-grandmother. So that is also Earth. And of all this is our only home. You may go looking elsewhere, but till now, this is our only home, and it's going to be our only home for another century and more. So we better learn to, in all our lives. Absolutely. So we better learn to understand it, to live in a sustainable way. Because what is sustainability? To receive something from your preceding generation, nurture it well, and give it to your succeeding generation in the same form or a better form, but not in a degraded form. That is sustainable. That's a larger idea of sustainability. That is what all our Veda Samhita, when we showed you the earlier slide about what it speaks of different aspects of nature, it's all about how we celebrate, respect, and venerate nature, not just to do puja, not to do havan, not to just to give it flowers or water or food, which certainly do. But equally importantly and more importantly, how do you sustainably maintain it for the generations to come? Which is what our predecessors did. And it is our duty to give it to our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, the same pristine form, and educate them to give it to their grandchildren in such a pristine form.
And it is not just physical nature that needs to be sustained and handed over. It is also this knowledge, civilizational knowledge, which has to be sustained and preserved and handed over intact to the next generation. Because without this knowledge, sustaining this knowledge, you will not know how to sustain the mother nature itself.
So the
Mhm.
So you
minimum,
need both. You need this knowledge. And that is what Ganesha represents. He represents all that wisdom that is coming through from generations. And it is wisdom more than just knowledge alone. It's also wisdom.
Soumya-ji, thanks for the question. Anybody from the early teens also can join. That's why we showed you. In case there are young teens willing to join, they're welcome to join. And if they're in a particular continent and the grandparents are on a different continent, they can join so that the grandchildren and grandparents can interact on the course and have substance to discuss offline too later. It creates something so you can get people across continents to join in too.
We have had that happen to in our courses
Earlier.
many times. There were children from the US and the grandparents from India joining, and later on they could have their offline conversations.
So
Because
it creates a family atmosphere. That's the beauty of it. So yes,
That's
that's why we
beautiful.
timed it such that it is India night and daytime in the
Beautiful.
US.
I have
so
a
thank
couple
you.
more
Yes,
questions for you here, if you don't mind.
please.
one
Sure.
is-
Welcome.
One is, can you, Devi is an important part of our tradition as well, and we've spoken about Ganesha, you mentioned Bhumi, but, in that initial diagram, we had Vishnu and Agni and many of the other gods. Can you talk a little bit about how you're going to bring Devi into this course?
Prakriti is feminine in nature.
Mhm.
Nature itself is feminine in nature. And every one of them, what you showed, is only an offspring of that nature.
Beautiful.
Otherwise, there's nothing. The whole of Prakriti, not just on earth. Look at this. Earth is feminine, isn't it?
Mhm.
Is sun feminine or masculine?
The sun is masculine, but we
What
think of
about
it as
Mars?
masculine, Lord Surya.
What about, no, so in Indian thought, what about Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn,
They're
Venus? All are masculine.
Perfectly, yes.
Of course, in Western thought, they have Venus.
Venus feminine,
That's
but
what, but
the Bharata
Right.
civilization, Venus is masculine.
We
It's
are-
Shukra.
Venus
Ah,
is Shukra, white. So Shukra, white. The point is what? Only Earth can give forth life. That's why it's feminine. Other planets and the sun cannot, and the satellite moon cannot give forth life. So they are masculine. So what can give forth life is feminine. Can nature, Prakriti, the universe, creation itself give forth life? Yes. That's why it's feminine.
Beautiful.
So that is the key point of it. We made a film on it. It's there in our film Wonders of Indian Astronomy. Please watch it, the film, as to why all this is feminine. Because feminineness is the basic nature of nature itself. Prakriti is feminine. And everything that's masculine only comes out of it.
Beautiful.
So it is actually very, very tilted towards a feminine gender. Masculine are just mere drops in that, in the larger
They are
nature.
the mere witness. If
Exactly.
you really look at it
It's what
in that
also meant.
sense, which is why we have called it as Purusha and Prakriti as well.
Prakriti, yes,
So
yes,
Prakriti is the primary thing.
yes.
That's
yes.
what begins in not just the human form, every form of life, every seed, every plant, every creeper, every animal, every earth. There are many earths in this galaxy, in the system. So all of them are feminine. Anywhere life sprouts is feminine. That's simple as that.
Wonderful. So a couple more questions. One is, if someone is coming into this class and they don't know who their personal God is, how would you say, can this class help them understand that? That
See,
there's
what
so
this-
many God, there's, the village God or the family God or the ancestral God or goddess. How does one?
Very good question. Very good. So your village God, your ancestral God, to your God for your province,
Mhm.
all down. So you have a village God, which fits into your family God. It's again, a village God is generally feminine.
Mhm.
which fits into your family god, which again fits into your state god. Regional, each region has a divinity. It's again feminine. Then you come to the national god, which is Bharat Mata, which is again feminine.
And also every civilization has such a mother god,
Ev-
mother goddess.
Europe, France has, Germany has, Britannia for Britain, Britannia is feminine. And it is the France Liberty, they give Lady Liberty to USA for the feminine divinity of Lady Liberty of Mother Russia, Japan, Amaterasu, everywhere, all over the world, it is a feminine divinity, the local divinity of the civilization is feminine. And all these local divinities of each civilization collectively add up to Bhuma Devi, which is again feminine. And all the Bhuma Devis add again to Prakriti, it's again feminine. So it's a lineage of feminine divinities that add up. One actually telescopes into the other. One is a sibling of the other. There's nothing like one is a mother, one is a daughter. They all telescope beautifully at each other's wonderful siblings, each playing their role in nature, Prakriti.
And
So
here
my
is where, you know,
question
actually,
My question was
I just
about
would like
how
to,
this someone.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I just want to add that bit. So here is where the understanding of dharma comes in.
Mm.
A understanding of dharma as nature or characteristic as an aspect of it. So even these divinities have a dharma. So your personal god has a dharma, your village god has a dharma, and that dharma is the aspect of that particular area. So then, you know, you understand what is the sphere of influence of each divinity. Then, so when do you look up to a particular divinity for what? And then when you come down and when we look at the point of worship and murti and so on, you will understand why the civilization, understanding this characteristic of various divinities, has chosen to give certain forms to them. So that, and how you're meant to worship those particular divinities, with what kind of stutis, what is the role of a shloka or a stuti, and what is the role of a ritual, a homa. So what do each of these, what is the place? I mean, or rather, we say place value. So when do you latch on to something for what? That clarity is what you will get.
Beautiful. Thank you. Before the session ends, I'm going to launch the poll. So that please fill that out. Do you mind, doctors, Hari, if I asked a few more questions from our Q&A box?
Please
Thank
go
you.
ahead, any number.
Okay, thank you. So here's a question. What is the status of the holy cow in the Hindu religion? Most Hindus do not eat beef because we do not want to kill cows for food. But then we're talking about, the question is about the dairy that we consume come from businesses where there's extreme cruelty to cows. So again, this to me connects back to that whole idea of sustainability and the connection of our reverence to revering the earth and revering all its creatures. So I'm gonna just have you respond to that.
Good point. Good point. Thank you for raising this point, raising this good question. See, closest to the human milk that we consume from our mother when we are young babies, just born, which is the next best milk that we consume the next few years of our life. When we continue from there on, is the cow's milk. Of the cow's milk, which variety of cow's milk is actually that good? Is the A2 milk, which comes from the variety of cow called Bos indicus. Bos comes from the bovine, like how you do dog's canine, cow is bovine. So there are few types of Bos. That's the zoological name. One is Bos indicus, which has got a hump to it. Most Bos indicus have hump. They're humped cows. That is what you see in the Indus Valley civilization, all the Indic variety of cows. Then you have the variety of cows that you find in Turkey and thereon into Europe called the Bos Taurus cows. They don't have that much of hump. Their milk is A1 type, not the A2 type. It's unique only to Indian cows. Then you have the African cow called Bos Zebu or Bos Senegas. Because Senegal. So those three varieties of cows, because of the quality of the milk, the variety of milk, we take only the A1, I mean the A2 type, that is the Bos indicus as Gomata. All other creatures are also Mata for us, no doubt, because we drink their milk. Because in the modern dairy system, they mix up all the milk, and so there's also a lot of crossbreeding going on. But traditionally, in our tradition system, it is a Bos indicus cow that we looked at it. That's two. The third point is, with so much of chemicalization of our fields, is our earth today conducive because of so much of chemical fertilizers, petroleum chemical fertilizers especially? Do earthworms grow in our fields? Do the microorganisms grow in our fields? Because they are bereft of the basic microorganisms in our soil. The way, if without a honeybee, you cannot have pollination and you cannot have growth. You cannot, without microorganisms, you cannot get back a good fertile soil. If you don't have a good fertile soil, you will not have a good fertile crop to eat. Which is the variety of dung that can bring back the fertility back to the soil and make soil itself? It's the Bos indicus cow dung.
Wow.
So if you want to have soil to make your food, you need the Bos indicus. So it's not only a mother to feed you your milk for the few years of your life. We live a few decades of life at best, all of us. 7, 8, 9, 10 decades, 11, 12 decades is not maximum we live. But the soil needs to be rejuvenated to make it sustainable every year. Which is the product that makes it the dung of the Bos indicus cow, which is a humped cow. You need that, the bull and the cow. So when people say bullshit, they don't understand. It is certainly not bullshit in the way it is said in the, unfortunately, the English language. It is the dung that creates life, jeevan to the soil, which gives back the microorganism, which give you the food that you consume from the soil. So bullshit is not bullshit, but it is a dung that gives you life to the microorganisms to rejuvenate back your soil. Because of which only you will be rejuvenated with nutritious meal with proper microorganisms that you need. Otherwise, you're going to eat only from the tin, the dabba, which is not really that nutritious.
Right.
So that is why it's Go Mata. It not only sustains you with the milk, it sustains the soil also with the byproduct.
And incidentally, even earth is called Go.
Earth itself is a cow.
Earth itself is called Go. Because anything that moves, continues to keep moving, is called a Go.
That's why Charna.
So grazing, a cow keeps grazing.
It keeps on moving. It doesn't eat in one place. It keeps on moving. That's the beauty of what.
Beautiful.
Yes, go on.
Again, that connects, that we're all interconnected, and our own well-being is deeply connected to the well-being of the cows, the earth, all the creatures, the soil, everything. Thank you. So here's a question about how much study, research, and reading is necessary during the course.
Our class sessions are about 90 to 100 minutes, plus a few moments like this, till we don't end the session, till we take all the questions of the day. A similar period of time is what you need to put in, because we give a lot of reading material and film viewing content. It'll help you to improve yourself. So they are, as part of the learning management software in the course, that's made available to you from HEMA extracts from different books of ours, and gives you the extract as part of the LMS, what you call the learning management software. It's up to you.
And they are available even after the course. So if for whatever reason you have not been able to read the entire material during the course, you can always go back and read it at any point in time. And the course as such, whatever we show in class, that will also, so all these slides will also be there as part of the recording of the class session. So people can go back and watch that. And that itself should give a good hang of the content. And for the course, we just have quizzes. The assignments are in the form of quizzes. There's no detailed writing of any essays or anything, large thesis or anything. Just questions after sometimes 1 or 2 sessions together, there'll be a quiz, which is the multiple choice quiz, online quiz. So people should not have any difficulty in taking these. And for reading, they can read it during the course, after the course, anytime. They'll all be available.
Here is one friend asking us that we should be wearing dhoti, kurta, achkan. Yes, we certainly do. Not only do we wear kurta, we wear dhoti. See, she's wearing a traditional sari. And similar, because we do wear regularly on occasions that deem it. Actually, today we have been out on to some temple visits where we properly go in the traditional wear only. And we pride in wearing our traditional wear for traditional events, which we do on a regular basis, almost on a daily basis. The occasion demands what we need to do, how we need to dress for the occasion, which we do on a regular basis, and proudly do it with Angavastra. With the proper Angavastra, we do it, which is many of our talks do have it.
And he makes it a point to match mine, my shade.
So we
I
so
love
we are
that.
very shady people. We are very shady people. We ensure that we have the same shade.
That's wonderful. So one last question is about the question you asked in the presentation about the script, the original script of the Mahabharata Ramayana, and what it was written in. I think you said you were going to answer that in class. So I just wanted to say there was a question about it. So maybe that should be remaining.
Actually, a googly. See, I'm sure some of you know the game of cricket. That's a googly I put there. You're welcome. It's part of the overall session. Because it's we'll have to, because there's a layers to it. I just can't give one word answer. It's not a one word answer actually. It's a very layered way of approaching which we have to do, and take about that itself will take some time.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, taking time out of your day to be here. Doctors Hema and DK Hari, thank you so much for, as always, for sharing your wisdom. And I would love to invite you to give any type of concluding remarks.
It
Uh,
will be a pleasure to meet all our friends who have joined our course, who have joined this webinar.
Our friends who have been writing some
Sesha and others,
and
others. So
and all that.
they've all been in our course. Thank you so much for all your nice words. It's always a pleasure for us to share knowledge, interact with our friends and colleagues. It's nice.
Yeah.
We look forward to.
One concluding thing, maybe what I could add is that even though we may have done divinity and dharma earlier as well, each of our session, each of our course itself, the sessions will be there. We will cover more or less the various aspects that like we have listed, but each one brings out different
Newer
dimensions, nuances, because that is totally based on the questions. So we may our sessions are highly interactive. So it is the questions that the audience, I mean the participants will ask, that will shape the course and the discourse that we will be having during the session.
It's purely based on interaction. So we are glad to share, but the questions have to come from you, the way we can navigate the sessions. So it's purely interactive.
Wonderful. Well, I know that students love taking your classes, and so there's so much rich material in which you convey, and so I encourage everyone to register. I put the link in the chat, and we're really looking forward to seeing all of you in class in the fall. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.